football. And he will pull it back. And Cirkin is there. And finally. And it's that young man again with another memorable moment. Chris Rigg following up to lift the roof off the Stadium of Light. Wilson is a goal. Oh! What has he done? What has he done?
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Roker Report podcast in association with the Sunderland Community Soup Kitchen. It's Gav and you join us on the back of possibly the maddest 90 minutes that I've watched in a very long time, or 98 minutes I should say, as Sunderland have managed to somehow get a draw, 2s each, against Leeds United. We're going to dive straight into this because it was just crazy. Joining me is Chris, as always. Hey, mate.
Hello. Yes, I enjoyed it as well. It was a good game.
I enjoyed it even more afterwards when I went into town for a few beers. It was jumping. It changed the mood, put it that way.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because I was, you talked about 96th minute, absolutely gutted, ready to just, right, I want to go to bed. I'm sick of the whole thing. I'm not watching any football for the rest of the week and all that. And then suddenly 1 minute later, you're like, yes, right, I'm out. Go on, let's go out.
Felt like a win, didn't it?
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't, it felt like a win. And the series of events which led to that equaliser, I'd say 1 in a million, 1 in a billion. I think I listened to a few interviews with Daniel Farke after the game, and he said in over 30 years in football, he's never had anything like that happen to him.
Well, he's clearly never had the likes of Lee Camp as a keeper out like that, has he, to be fair, because Lee Camp did it on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
so, but we've seen plenty of those at the stadium, like not very often by opposition keepers. I think the last big howler I remember was the same day as Reuter did those two.
Yes.
And it was the Millwall keeper. Was it Millwall 2-2? And I think he did the same thing, didn't he?
I want to say his name was Jordan Archer, maybe.
Oof, you're doing better than me.
But yeah, it was him and Reuter were just trying to outdo each other, weren't they, that day? Yeah, just mental. Like I was out after the game, like I say, so I didn't have the chance to really break down the goal. So I've just done it while I was waiting for you to come on, just looking at all the different bits and pieces. And it's like, well, we've got a long free kick, which it isn't great from Patterson, actually. There's not much purchase on it.
It was an awful free kick.
We keep it alive, and then it's just the series of events which occurs is mad, really. I thought, oh, that's Brown's goal, and then you see it's given as Firpo's goal. And he flicks it on. It changes direction totally off Firpo's head, which, again, you don't realise in real time. It happens really quick. Lobs over the top, hits a divot in the turf as Meslier is about to catch it, which just sends it that foot or so to his right and makes him look an absolute mug. And it's like, all those things occur and is very, very, very unlikely. But for that to happen in the final minute of injury time, it feels as good as a win. It's amazing. And you'd be fucking gutted if you were a Leeds fan. I mean, I don't know if you've seen all of the reaction videos and stuff that are going around. These supporters who think like they've got to film themselves watching a game, which I don't get. I don't understand. Who wants to sit and watch someone on YouTube watching a match? I don't get it. But anyways, in this case, great, because it caught all of them reacting to that exact moment. And that was every Leeds fan in the world at that moment just thinking, what on earth is that goalie just done? You see Meslier sort of like pointing to the ground. He looked absolutely distraught, didn't he? Just amazing. Like, I know we don't usually launch straight into goals, but how can you not with that? It's I knew you said about Lee Camp and stuff. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that happen. We've had weird goalkeeping moments in the past, I'm sure, but that's up there with like Mart Poom scoring a header. That's like it's so unlikely that something like that happens. Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
Well, it is because I mean, I listened to Farke after, and he was adamant that their defender was saying that it definitely changed direction. I haven't seen a view from behind the ball yet, but from like straight on, or from the side, it didn't seem like it changed direction. But it didn't. Like at first, I thought his like back foot gave way or something like that. But when you watch the replay, nothing like that happened. He seemed to move one way when he didn't have to. Like he was behind the ball and then he moved out the way of it.
It's bad goalkeeping. Like even if it does change, how many times in a game does a goalkeeper have to catch a ball that's changing direction? It's not. It's not anything unusual. It's his job, exactly. In the famous words of Roy Keane, it is his job.
Yeah.
And
if the ball changes direction, he's got to be there, and he's got to react to it.
And to be honest, every time I watch him, he's shite. He's been like that for years. I don't get it. He's played for Leeds for years, and I don't rate him. I've never rated him. He's a very average goalkeeper.
Yeah, I've seen him pull off some really good saves, but he's always had that mistake in him, hasn't he? He's always kind of come up with a few clangers every so often. I mean, I saw some of the reaction from Leeds fans saying, like, basically they've been calling for him to be dropped for a while, and they are sick of him because he was making mistakes early on. But we'll come back onto it obviously, but he made a good save for the first goal before Rig kind of finished it off. But yeah, it's just bizarre, the whole thing. And actually I was going to say about because going back to that Patterson free kick, it was an awful free kick. I mean, the angle on it was just, I actually groaned. I went, oh, fuck. That our last chance, I thought, get it right into the mixer, proper old school style, get it right in there, get it on top of the keeper and that, and, just create some chaos. And then it landed about 15, 20 yards outside the box. And I was like, bloody hell, last minute you want it in there. And to be fair, like Brown actually said he was kind of ready to apologise for knocking it back into the box. But if it didn't take that deflection, it looked like a decent ball in because Isidore was there or thereabouts. So it wasn't a bad knock in. And it kind of, when it's like that, when talking about just creating chaos, you just want to keep it alive and get it back into the area just to see if you get a deflection or anything like that. And he got the deflection, but it was just bizarre how it ended up going into the back of the net. Because what I loved as well, you're talking about the reaction on YouTube of Leeds fans, the back four right along that you saw all of them watching the ball. And all of them just basically collapsed to the ground. It's like head in hands. It was like Bayern Munich in '99 when Man United scored that goal. They all just kind of completely collapsed. Because, bizarre goal and we got a point and all this. But I tell you what, that reaction from the Leeds players told you how much they had to graft for it and told you how important they knew this result was going to be.
I thought they got what they deserved. They wasted time for the entire second half. And the referee, how did he only give 6 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
The time wasting was ridiculous, particularly from Meslier, by the way. The goal, he was going down, fearing an injury, lying on the bot. So fuck them, you know what I mean? You get what you deserve.
Well, he did take a whack to the side of the head, that one where he was down for a long time, but he was down for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then we were all expecting the ball to go up and thinking, what do you reckon? So 8, 9 minutes? It was that much. You were thinking, well,
I thought it'd be about 10 minutes. Honestly, I was going, this could be 10 minutes here.
They had a couple of players down, didn't they, during the second half?
Yeah.
There was one of the outfield players stayed down for ages. I think it was a defender. And then there was loads of substitutions. There was, the time wasting was absolutely pathetic. You get what you deserve out of it, and we'll come on to it because their goals, I think, in both cases shouldn't have stood for me for various reasons. The first one's offside, but he is offside. And the second one, it's not a foul from Mundald where they win the free kick from. There's loads goes wrong after that for us to concede the goal, but it was never a free kick. Cracking tackle. Yeah, he goes in aggressively and he wins the ball. But the referee takes a second to think about it and blows for the free kick. We're up in arms about it. And then in the build up to the actual goal, there's a possibility, I think, and I've seen it back a few times, and I think he does handball it, the number 17 from Leeds. The whole crowd appeals for it. Cirkin appeals for it, but then has to try and win the ball back. So, luck even itself out there. I was sitting there going, like, the whole game I whinged about how lucky Leeds were. They were getting, every time the ball was spinning up and just changing direction and going somewhere, and it was going to them. They were getting so lucky. Was it the second goal, I think it was, when Job makes like a tackle and it lands to the lad on the left? Oh, no, I think it's the first goal, isn't it?
Yeah, when it popped out.
Happens. Yeah.
Job, he kind of intercepted it, didn't he? And it bounced straight to them. Perfect position to cross it as well.
Game. Yeah, that happened loads through the game, and like I say, they just got it's just ironic to me that honestly, I just whinged the whole game about how lucky I was. Like, look at that man, how lucky they are, and then we get the luckiest goal ever to draw the game. So it evened itself out in the end. But like I say, I think Leeds got what they deserved. They can't feel aggrieved to have only got a point from it. I think if they'd won the game, it would have been a unfair result on us. I thought it was 2 even teams. I thought that generally speaking, both teams worked hard. I don't think it was either team at their best. Leeds had their moments. They've got really good players in attack. I thought the transitional play was fantastic. You're looking at Premier League players, really. Nonto, the other guy, is it Radzani, the other winger?
Yeah.
Pirro in the box. They've got quality all over the pitch, you know what I mean? So when they were getting the ball forward, they look a step up from pretty much everyone we've played this season so far. But we combated that. I thought we'd done really well. I thought the defence was fantastic. Cirkin had his best game of the season for me, and we were calling for that. I thought Metham and 09 were outstanding in defence again. Like we had to really graft to get that point, but so did they, I think. Yeah. And it would have been harsh on us if we'd only come away with nothing there, because we definitely deserved a point at least.
Yeah. Look, I agree. If you look at the game overall, I mean, it was completely two different games. Both halves were two completely different games. First half was kind of two teams absolutely just going toe-to-toe with each other, two good teams, and Leeds are going to be up there. I mean, Leeds are challenging for top two. They already are. We know they're going to be there at the end of the season. But it's interesting if you go back to the game at the stadium like last season when we decided to, or when we basically tried to catch them on the break and we just sat on the edge of our box and soaked it up. It's interesting because last season we thought that's where we were. We're in a position where a team like Leeds comes to Stadium of Light and we need to completely change the way we play, and we're going to sit on the edge of our box and we're going to soak it up, and then we're going to get that chance and get that goal. And we thought that's the only way to play against a team like Leeds. This season, we've gone at them and we've said, we're as good as you. We're going to go toe-to-toe with you, blow for blow, and we're going to see who comes out on top at the end. And still, even though we did that, because like first half, I thought we played really well first half. We came out the traps quick. Leeds had to kind of gather themselves together a bit and get into the game. But when they did, they kind of showed how good they were. But then it changed after half-time. I thought both teams seemed to I think both managers seemed to just tell both sides just to calm down a bit. And it was bizarre from our point of view because although Leeds were finding space and getting gaps and kind of getting through us a little bit, I thought we would have kept on going at them because we've got the pace and we've got the chance, and we seemed to just drop off a little bit. And then when they scored, the game changed again. Leeds dropped off after that. They thought, right, all we need to do is dig in. And we, to be honest, and we might come on to it, but the second half, in a way where Leeds kind of got in and regrouped a bit at half-time, I felt we kind of ran out of ideas a little bit in the second half, because if you actually think of what we created in the second half in terms of chances, we didn't really create anything. We played some decent stuff at times. Roberts was too, he kept on doing the same thing. He needed to have some variation in what he was doing.
He was running into brick walls half the time. He was cutting inside and just running into people. It wasn't working.
He was getting more and more frustrated. Whereas Mundell on the other side, the fullback didn't know. I mean, it was a good battle down that left-hand side.
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
But Mundell was going both ways. He was going down the line, then he was cutting inside. Whereas every time Roberts got the ball, you knew exactly what was going to happen, which was different in the first half because Roberts had runners going past him, and how many chances came from that right-hand side? Like the first goal came from the right-hand side. Bellingham got a couple of chances because we broke down the right-hand side, and Roberts had runners going past him. In the second half, he didn't. And when Roberts hasn't got runners going off him, he runs into those brick walls. He needs those. I mean, that's why he was so good with Ahmad. And he didn't have that second half. And to be honest, I would have brought him off earlier because he didn't have that support. We needed something different on the right-hand side because we knew if something was going to come, it was going to come from the left-hand side in the second half. Whereas, first half we were, we looked dangerous on either flank. So, look, again, you look at the last two games at home, 4 points. Last season, we'd have been lucky to get 1 point out of those two games because we haven't been at our best. We've really dug these two results out.
Yeah, we have. And I agree what you said there about the way the play changed. I think Roberts' first half, brilliant at times, frustrating at times, but you're right about that, having the runner off him, and in particular it was Rigg. Rigg was going beyond, and Hume. Yeah. And I think one of the things that's let Trey Hume down a bit this season is he's not getting forward enough. He's not supporting enough. But I do wonder how much that was to do with just their pace on the break. When Leeds ended up camping our half, which happened a few times, you're looking at their full-backs and wingers doubling up, and it's like, bloody hell, that's a scary amount of attacking quality, actually. And you can see why teams do get a little bit more reserved when they play against them, because, you saw Nonto, how accomplished he is running inside. He's a Premier League footballer, you can see it. And when he gets the ball, he can go down the outside, but he likes to run centrally, which allows that space to open up on the right, a bit like when Roberts in the first half was getting at Leeds. Obviously, down the left-hand side, you had Firpo getting forward. So their fullbacks don't play like traditional fullbacks, where I think ours probably do a little bit more. And that was maybe where they had the edge on us, I thought, at times, particularly in the second half. So, yeah, I agree. We did seem to run out of ideas a little bit. And I really felt sorry for Isidore. I think he was isolated for large parts of the game. Like, I said this during the week. I think with him, like, you see his movement's unbelievable. Brilliant centre forward movement. But there was a couple of times where you're looking at him, you like just play the ball early to him. He's always on the shoulder of the last man. And that's maybe something that we'll get more used to as the sort of games come thick and fast and the players get used to playing with him. He's constantly on that shoulder of the last man, and sometimes you just need to play the ball, whip the ball around the back of the defence and gamble on him getting on the end of it. And we didn't do that enough for me. It was all about intricate build-up play going down the sides. And it's like, no, sometimes just get the ball forward quickly. It'll work, particularly against a team who play with a high line and leave gaps, because they do. Their fullbacks are all the way up the pitch. Sometimes they were left with just Rodon and Strike at the back, and that was it. And I fancy Isidore to, if he's playing off the shoulder of somebody, I fancy him in that situation. And we didn't do that enough at all. I thought we were wasteful from set pieces. Every time we got a corner, they were crap. Corner set pieces were rubbish. And I thought first half, to be honest, I thought Mundell wasn't in the game enough, but second half, he was doing what Robert should have been doing. He was getting it and he was whipping it across the box and getting it into dangerous areas. He didn't do it enough, but he did it more than what he had done in the first half. So yeah, there were aspects of it, but I do kind of wonder whether, from both teams, I wonder whether it was just a case of being a little bit more cautious because of who you're playing. You know, you were right to refer back to last season when we played Leeds, because that was a totally different story. We didn't see ourselves on their level then, and we do now, and that was the big difference then. So, but that sort of game plan might have suited us more, actually. We might have won this game had we been a little bit more reserved, but I guess the way this team's played this season under this manager, and the fans have come to expect it, we've been strong at home, is that we don't do that. We don't sit in, we take the game to teams. And yeah, I think in the end, both teams got what they deserved as a result.
Yeah. And the thing about Mundell as well, what I liked about that side, because we said about that battle he had with Bogle, but what Mundell did was, and there's going to be a lot of comparisons with Jack Clarke, but in that situations, we've seen Jack Clarke get frustrated when there's been a battle like that, and he's kind of gone off the boil in the game because he's got so frustrated either with himself or referee or with his opposition defender. Now, I've said, I think in the last pod or a previous pod somewhere, that if you just compare the two players, I think Clarke is a better technically gifted player than Mundell. But I think Mundell's more effective because for a number of reasons in terms of the way we play and pace, kind of getting forward quickly on the break. But in situations like this, you saw what Mundell's character, and you could compare it to Clarke's, where Mundell kept going, like he kept wanting the ball, he kept asking for it, he kept going at Bogle, and there was times I think Bogle came out on top more often, but when Mundell got past him on the odd occasion, he got into dangerous positions, he got in behind him, he got the ball in. And the other thing, every time he kept losing possession to Bogle, he chased him back, and he either gave away a free kick because they were on the break, or he actually won the ball back a couple of times. And that's kind of what happened in the second goal, which was kind of ridiculous, which we'll come on to. But the point is about Isidore as well. My slight concern was, again, against Derby and first half against Leeds, as you said, what he was doing was playing off the shoulder and wanted the ball in behind. When he's not getting that, what seemed to happen in the second half against Leeds is he dropped off, because there was a couple of times when balls were played into the box, and there was a couple of occasions they were played across the box, and Isidore was on the edge of the box instead of further forward. Yeah. Because what he's now coming, he's thinking, oh well, I'm making these runs all the time and I'm not getting it, so I'm going to come and look for the ball. So we, if you were, if you were involved, you'd want to tell him to just, keep doing it, keep doing what you're doing, keep making those runs, give us that outlet in behind. What you don't want with those three midfielders, you don't want Isidore to keep dropping off and wanting the ball too short. You want him to give us an option and kind of stretch the play, because and Mayenda was really good at doing that as well. And we've seen to have two strikers now who, rather than come looking for it, I remember when speaking of Leeds, when Gellert was dropping off all the time and he was ending up like a fourth central midfielder, and it just got ridiculous, and there was no pass, there was no outlet to get out. Yeah. We need these two players to stretch the pitch for us and catch teams on the break. So I think we've just got to be careful when we're really kind of getting desperate for that goal and desperate to create chances. We don't kind of find out like the midfield too packed up, and Isidore or Mayenda doesn't drop off too much like they did in the second half. I
mentioned before about the defence, and I think we'd be remiss not to mention them or give them at least a bit of a spotlight. I thought we'll go on to the goals in a bit. I think Mepham could have done better, even though the lad was offside, but I think he was brilliant. I thought during some of his defending is just unbelievable, like a proper accomplished centre half, like Premier League defender. I think we're very lucky to have him. I think we've just got him at the right time. But his partner, Luke O'Nien, outstanding again. I'm his biggest fan, I know I am, but he was just brilliant yet again. Just he can do so much that nobody else can do, and he doesn't get the credit for it. Some of those little switches of play he can do with his left foot and driving the ball forward. There was some of the last ditch defending that he did. There was a couple of occasions where he went on mazy runs to get us forward just because we needed somebody to do that. Brilliant. The pair of them were great together. Tell you what, Elise and Ballard, when they've got a chance to get back in the team, they're going to have a real fight on their hands to get anywhere near it if they're fit.
Yeah. Against Leeds, both of them had too much of the ball, really. We weren't able to kind of, after that first ball into midfield, we weren't able to turn enough and then basically start facing the goal and getting behind them enough. So it ended up coming back to the two central defenders all the time. And what was really good about it in the end was they kind of realised that. So what both of them started to do was use the space in front of them and drive 20 yards with the ball and then play the pass. But it's good to have two players at the back who feel comfortable enough to be able to do that. And when we're looking for a goal like that, it's so important. It is bizarre because it was a bit like that Man City game the other week against Arsenal, where sometimes when you're looking for a goal like that, the wrong players have the ball all the time. Mm-hmm. And, like your central defenders have got the ball probably more than anyone else. But in that case, you need central defenders who are comfortable on the ball. And like you said, with O'Nien, are able to bring it out 20 yards and they're comfortable enough to, on their wrong foot, if there is a wrong foot, to then ping the ball 40 yards diagonally to a winger. And then we start from the final third rather than trying to work through a team who's got two banks of four and are set up just to stop us playing those passes into midfield. But on the defending side, they both just flung themselves in. And look, I mean, I think from their point of view, we're saying like they had a really good games, but from their point of view, they'll be critical of themselves about that game because the first goal, Mepham was...
He was caught wrong side, wasn't he?
Yeah,
even though the lad's offside, he was caught wrong side.
Yeah, but then again, it wasn't... you're not talking like he wasn't kind of 3-4 yards offside. No, it was a VAR lines and all that. It was one of them. So if it's that tight, you either play offside and make sure he's a few yards offside, or you cut out the cross, or you basically mark him out of having a good chance. Mm-hmm. And he didn't do any of them. And when it's that tight, you're not gambling on a tight decision to go your way like that. So, Look, he was at fault for that goal. But like you said, he did have a brilliant game, but he was at fault for that goal. And I would ask questions about the second goal in terms of O'Nien's positioning. I mean, I think he's been great in the past at getting behind Patterson and getting on the line, and he's cleared quite a few off the line. But in this case, he was standing right next to him. And he got in Patterson's way a bit.
Went under his foot, didn't it? Yeah.
He got right in Patterson's way. And I don't think Patterson was commanding enough because I think he left it to O'Nien. He thought, O'Nien's standing next to us, he's going to clear this. And O'Nien thought Patterson's going to jump on this and dive this way. And they both got each other's way and they didn't know who was quite going to go for it. And his positioning was a bit all wrong because in that case, you stand behind the keeper, you get on the line, you get out of his way, and you're the second line of defence. You're not standing right next to him. So he'll be critical of himself more than we will, because like you said, for 96 minutes or whatever it was, they were both absolutely fantastic. And look, Leeds are, at the end of the season, they're going to be one of the top scorers in the division, if not the top scorers. So look, they got 2 goals by not by really kind of carving through us. It was, I think, we were our own worst enemies in conceding the 2 goals. So I think it shows the way we defended that they carved a few half chances, but they weren't we were always there. We were always kind of last, whether it got down to the last ditch tackle or whether we cut it out before then, we defended well. But yeah, it's a good partnership to have. And like you said, they're going to be keeping some really good players out of the team.
Yeah, I think it shows how well they played when we've just sort of said they were outstanding, but then both goals could have done better. It shows how well they actually played. We'll go through the goals, I guess. The first one was obviously our goal, Chris Rigg, 9 minutes in. Right place, right time. I thought the build-up was brilliant from us. Thought the football was outstanding. That was us at our best. That was the result of players working hard together, knowing each other's game, the positioning, everything. That was like a proper training ground routine goal. We just... little triangles, played it round Leeds, and I think we got what we deserved. And you mentioned it earlier about Meslier making a good save from Cirkin's shot. It was It was actually quite a good save. He had to get across and there was a lot of power on it. And I wasn't sure if it hit the post at first, but it was a really good save. And then Riggs just stand there, right place, right time yet again. You know, you've got to gamble in them situations and wait for the ball to drop. And if it does, you're there. Yeah. And but it was all about that build-up for me. I thought the football was great.
Yeah, and it was, and again, I mean, I've been singing his praises lately for changing his game this season and being a different player for us. But Bellingham spreading the ball out wide quickly. So sometimes you see teams, and we've been guilty of this in the past, where we take 3 passes to get it out wide. So it makes it so easy for opposition, especially when they've got 2 banks of 4. It makes it so easy for them to switch across. But Bellingham switched the ball out quickly into Roberts. And this is what we were saying that wasn't there in the second half, runners, because we got the ball wide and all around Roberts on that right-hand side. That's where you're talking about those triangles, that little passing. There was just runners everywhere. Mm-hmm. And that's what you've got to have. And that's how we've got to play. And it's like in the second half, we stopped making those runs and we stopped getting beyond the wingers and getting beyond the central midfielders. And I think we've got the players that if you've got... And it's one of the reasons Chris Rigg, obviously because he's a fantastic player, but that he's keeping his place in the side because it's so important to get beyond. And Bellingham does this as well, and he did this in the second half with Mundell Bellingham, where he sprinted about 3 or 4 times when Mundell got the ball and went beyond him. And he looked pissed off a couple of times because he ran 40 yards to get ahead of him, and Mundell didn't give him the ball. I think he did once, and Bellingham got a really good ball across the face of the box.
Yeah.
But this first goal was because of that. You've got to get runners in beyond Mundell and Roberts, and Rigg and Bellingham have got to be doing that. And if they tire in the second half, that's when Brown or whoever else comes on and they've got to make those runs because you've got to keep doing it. Even if you don't get the ball, you've got to keep doing it. And that first goal was from that, where Hume, went kind of underlap, I want to say, kind of. Yeah. And we got it into the box. And once it's in there, you get a shot on target and you get players into the box, and Rigg was again in the right place at the right time. But yeah, it's the type of goal I think we might see a lot of us this season. But again, we can't go in at half time and then come out second half and forget to make these sort of runs because we'll get something from them.
Yeah, the frustration was that we never capitalised on the momentum we built really early in the game.
Yeah,
the atmosphere on the ground was unbelievable. At that point, the place was going absolutely berserk, and it just felt like, this could be our night. But we let Leeds back into the game, and like I say, it was offside. You can understand the linesman not getting that one right because it was tight. But if there had been VAR would have ruled that out. It was that tight. Yeah,
but you can't, when it's that tight, you can't look at it. You can't. I'm not getting hung up about it when it's that tight.
No. But yeah, I kind of did still feel. I just felt like, again, like I said before, Leeds were really lucky in that sense. I thought, you lucky bastards. If that had been us, you can guarantee the linesman would have put his flag up, wouldn't he? But as we talked about before, I think Mepham's been caught wrong side of Perrault.
Yeah, definitely.
Perrault's movement's really good as well, by the way. Like that's the thing. It's like, you can see he's got caught wrong side, but Perrault's a good striker. He's a proper sort of 18-yard box tap-in striker, and he scored loads of goals at this level. That's why they bought him. That's why they spent a lot of money to sign him. Yeah. And that's what that kind of money gets you, that kind of quality. And it was just a typical finish from him. But the ball in was good as well, actually. It was a good cross. It just, the build-up to the goal was frustrating for me because Bellingham makes a really good sort of tackle interception and it falls directly them. And that just seemed to happen for the whole game. Every time we were throwing ourselves in front of things to try and win a ball, and we would win it, and then it would bounce to somebody on the wing who could then break. Totally caught us on the hop. So yeah, I feel a bit hard done to with that one. Not just because it was offside. I think more so because of the fact that Bellingham did nothing wrong to lose the ball. Really, just flung himself at it, and it bounces straight to the winger or the fullback or whoever it was who crossed it in. Like, oh, God's sake! But yeah, it was frustrating because, like I say, I think we'd really built up a lot of momentum and we didn't capitalise on it, and then as soon as they equalised, it sucked the wind out of us for a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, but talking about lucky, I mean, or unlucky in Bellingham's case, because like I said, I've been saying this for the last few weeks, that's what Bellingham's been doing time and time again, that little foot in, knowing exactly where a pass is going to go. And he was in the right place at the right time again, but he just had to stretch a little bit. But the problem is when it ricocheted off to the winger, it was perfect for him just to take one touch and cross it first time. Like, if a Leeds player had played that pass, it couldn't have been any better. You know what I mean? It was like the perfect pass for the winger to get it out of his feet and whip it in. But if you go back a little bit further, though, you're right about kind of us getting a bit of momentum. Leeds got back into the game. But it was at this point we kind of, rather than get it wide, get a foot on it, we started playing it a bit long to Isidore. And it came actually this from giving away possession where we played it long and all Isidore could do was flick it on and it went to their back four and they were able to come at us again and try and play through us. So, we need to make it stick. When we're in bother like that, we need balls out to the front man who can make it stick and give us a bit of breathing time. And because, again, there's ups and downs. I mean, I think Isidore's the better player and I think he'll play the most this season. But when you've seen Mayenda actually bring the ball out for us, sometimes he's not really looking to necessarily make a chance or anything. Sometimes he carries the ball 15, 20 yards and he just gives us a little bit of a breathing time just to get out. And once you push up, it makes it much easier. But like you said, there was all that luck that happened for them later on. But you say that and then it lands to him. There's still a lot for him to do, and it is a great cross. And his run's brilliant because he's kind of there or thereabouts with. And if you look at the linesman, I mean, you kind of look at stills of it and you have to draw lines on it to decide that he's offside, to be fair. It's that close. But the marking isn't right. He's on the wrong side. Meffam is, he's going to be disappointed with that. And it was a good finish as well. It was a good ball in, good cross. And it was a good header. Patterson had no chance. So, yeah, it was one of them. It got them back into it. And we'd been kind of the better side up to then. So,
yeah,
I was gutted when it went in, thinking back.
10 minutes or so into the second half, they took the lead. As I mentioned before, was never a foul, that tackle from Mundle.
No.
Yeah, he flies in, he's aggressive with it, but what's wrong with that? He wins the ball. Doesn't harm the player whatsoever. The referee thinks about it, blows his whistle, Mundle's up in arms, and the crowd is rightly so as well, because, you can't understand why the hell he's giving it. And then, to be honest, we let ourselves down, I think, in the build-up to the goal. Yes, I think there's a handball from their 17, definitely. Seems to strike his hand, but again, it's tight, and I don't think the referee's going to blow for that. But it's after that I got a bit annoyed, because I think Rigg and Job were far too soft. They've got him boxed in. There's 4 players around him. Cirkin's trapped him. I can't remember who the other player was, but then Rigg and Job are both in a position to make a tackle or a foul, and they don't. And what that does is, because he's got 4 players around him, it's drawn 4 players out of position who are nowhere near the play, and then that's where they score from. It's kind of a good bit of interplay, but at the same time, we've left gaps everywhere. It goes wide, it comes back inside. Firpo plays like a bit of a 1-2. And then when he shoots, he's in acres of space because, like I say, there's nobody near him. And for me, we could have cut that out a lot earlier. And then obviously O'Nine's in a position to where he can't adjust his feet. Could maybe clear it. It's a disappointing goal. And again, I don't think that it should have been in that position anyways, because I don't think there should have been a free kick. But there was. And then after that, we've got to carry on and we've got to do our jobs, and we didn't. I thought the defending was poor on that one.
Yeah, look, you've mentioned all the referees' decisions, so I'm not going to bang on about them. It wasn't a free kick. People were talking about where the free kick was taken from. Yeah, all right, we can have a whinge about that, fine about that. But look, you're talking about a free kick, within 18 yards of their goal line. Like, we shouldn't be thinking this is dangerous. Like, that's a horrible goal to concede from a free kick. Like from the edge of their box, regardless of whether we moved the ball forward 10 yards. We can have a whinge about it. We could shout at the referee at the time. He could move it back. Fair enough. It might get them 5-10 yards further up the pitch, but still, you've got all your players back, and like you said, that was the biggest problem. Those 4 who went for the ball, same challenge, and once he's got past them. This is the problem. You look at like a still from, I can't remember who dove in just outside the box, but someone I thought was going to...
wasn't it?
Was it Hume, was it? Thought he was going to take him down, basically. I thought that was going to be a free kick outside the box, and he missed the tackle.
He tried to. Ironically, mine, if he'd connected, he would have been booked and he would have been banned for the next game. So that'll have been wearing through. That makes us think, did he really fully commit to the
That's
tackle?
A good shout. Yeah, because I thought that was it. I thought, well, he's going to bring him down free kick, and he missed the tackle. But then after that, if you look at a still from once he misses the tackle, it's 4 against 3, and we've only got 3 defenders, and that's where the overload comes from. So it was 2 against 1 on that right hand side then, and then all they do is play play it back to each other, and he's got a shooting opportunity. But everything about it was just horrible from our point of view. You can see. I mean, I think you mentioned it was a good move from Leeds. I don't think it was. I think it was all. I think if we hadn't bunched up in midfield and lost 4 players out of the game, I think that's our fault. I don't think that's a good move from them.
Yeah.
And like you said, I talked about the finish earlier, but because the shot, I don't think it was that good a shot. I mean, to me, that should have been a routine save for a shot like that. And whether Patterson thought it was O'Nine's, O'Nine thought it was Patterson, they both got in each other's way, and that was that 2-1. And I have to admit, because the way we'd been huffing and puffing, I thought we'd blown it at that point.
Yeah, it was one of them where you think you're playing a good team, and once they get the lead, they get the claws in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had to plough on, and I think the manager said this, that he praised the character of the players to keep going, because we did.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing, we've already went over the goal, but I think you do have to praise the players for just carrying on.
And that's all it was. It was all character, because I think by that point we got a bit flustered. I think we'd lost all of our quality, and we'd lost our heads that way. But in terms of just digging in and keep going again and again and again, putting the ball into the box, getting the ball out wide, we kept plugging away, trying to do the right things. Like I said, I think the quality went downhill because we were flustered, we were a little bit panicky. There was a couple of times where we lost the ball in dangerous positions, and I thought Leeds were going to break, and we were worried about that. But yeah, it was all about character, because kind of the runs went out the window a little bit, and we were hoping, in the end, it got a bit desperate in the fact that we were hoping for a bit of quality from an individual, and we kept putting the ball out wide to Roberts. We kept expecting Mundell to do something, rather than there was times when people gave the ball to these players and then just stood back and watched and went, go on and do something, instead of giving them an outlet or giving them a run, or getting in behind or whatever. So we need to kind of keep that quality high when we're in situations like that, because that's what gets you the goal. And we needed a bit of luck, but like you said, because of the character we showed, we kept getting the ball into the areas which, in the end, that's where the goal came from.
Yeah. Let's say deserved the point. I think, we put a lot of effort in at the end. It would have been very easy for us just to kind of, oh, well, that's it. But we didn't, and we cracked on. And yeah, we did get loads and loads and loads of luck when we got the equaliser. But if you're not persistent, you don't get anything,
Well, dare I say it, a lot of the crowd kind of lost hope, didn't they?
Well, we'll come on to that, because we've got some questions, and there's a lot of them around that. So I was holding off till we got to the questions, but we'll try and fire through these. I'm not calling them quick fire, because they never are. But there are a few there around the crowd, so I was holding off on that. Sean Cottrell says, was this match a good showcase of where we are at as a team currently, considering we are competing blow for blow with a team that spent more money on one player than we did the entire summer? I think it's a very simple yes, but I think what it probably tells you is that there's another way to do this, like in terms of how you build a squad that's competitive. Because, and look, when we get promoted, I say when, because I think we will very soon. If it's not this year, it'll be within the next few years. When we get promoted, and if we do get relegated within a few years, we're going to be in a position like a Leeds where, you've got parachute money, and you've got a squad which is valuable, and players leave, and a lot of money comes into the club. So I can understand why they spend big. And that might be us at some point. But I think what we've shown, and this is why Sunderland get a lot of credit at the minute, is because we've shown you can build a team on a budget, on a shoestring, that's competitive. And we've not done it because we're penny pinching. We've done it because we want to show there's a different way to do this. It's very easy to just go out and spend a load of money, like lots of teams do. They go out, and Birmingham have done it in League One, Ipswich did it. A lot of teams have done it, and it works. There is a way to do it where you just throw money at your squad and you recruit brilliant players and you spend a lot of money to do it. But we've tried to go from a different angle. We've spent money, but we haven't been wasteful with it. We haven't just went and spent 15 million like Birmingham did on Stansfield, for instance. We've went, well, no, actually, there's a young kid here where after 18 months he's going to be as good as anybody, and I like that. So I agree with Sean. I think it was a good showcase of where we're at.
Yeah, well, I mentioned comparing it to the game last season, where, like we talked about earlier, we realised that we weren't on the same level as Leeds, and we said, right, we need to change the way we're playing. We didn't go toe-to-toe with them because we knew how that would have ended. And this season we thought, and actually if you look at the side, the majority of them, probably 80-90% of the lineup, are the same players who were kind of in there last season. Mm-hmm. Just we're in a different place mentally, and we've got some players that have again had another season under their belt. And you talk about the different way of doing things. I think it's a bit of a myth that we're not spending money. Because actually, there's just as you said, there's just a different way of spending money. Rather than 15 million on one player, and I don't know the values involved, but you might be talking about 3 million on Mundell. You might be talking about players we've brought in from France, 3 million here, 2.5 million here, which adds up to, you might, in the summer, we might have spent best part of 20 million. You just can't really see it because we haven't spent that, 10 million on one player. What we're doing is the clever thing. I mean, Mundell's the perfect example because, you sell Clark for biggish money and Mundell, who you've bought for maybe 2.5, 3 million or whatever, plus add-ons, slot straight in, and then it's like, right, let's go again. And you got these players who you buy and you say, just wait, because this player's probably going to go next season for X amount. You're going to come in, and that's when you're going to hit the ground running. So we'll want you to watch everything for the next 6 to 12 months, and then it's your time. And that's the way we're doing things. And it's just a clever way of doing it. And we're seeing results because every season, all of these players are getting more games, more experience. And you see with Bellingham this season, he's a good example of that.
Yeah. Pricey says, tin hat on, but the folk leaving early again. How many were in the ground for the equaliser? Yeah, we said we were going to bring this up. I don't get it. It got to 84 minutes and the ground just seemed empty. Leeds were singing about it. It was that bad. Like, it was like mass exodus of people leaving the ground.
Yeah.
Their fans were singing, and it was a little bit embarrassing actually. And I suppose maybe situations like, can you imagine if you weren't in, like if you weren't in the ground for that? Like, you watched it from home, but I don't mean you were watching the game.
Yeah.
People who had left early thinking the game was over, and then they've missed out on that. And I just think, I don't get it. I'll leave me seat a minute left of injury time. I'll leave me seat and very slowly walk down the stairs. I never leave before the full-time whistle. I only do that so it's easier to get straight out the exit. So I still see the whole game, but I don't get it. I just don't get why people do it. Don't understand it. Everyone's got their own reasons. They don't have to justify themselves to me, but I would like to think because of things like this, it might make people think twice about leaving early, because I'd be gutted if I'd missed that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's that weird thing, isn't it? I mean, it didn't look great on Sky. The commentators actually talked about it, and they said basically the fans had given up on the team, and that, they kind of didn't expect us to get an equaliser, and they were kind of talking about it. And I mean, look, I want to kind of hold back on just saying, like, because look, I don't get it. I go to a football match to watch a football match. I watch the whole football match because I've paid to go. Maybe a bit tight that I want my money's worth, so I watch all of the game, I don't know. But I go to a football match and I want to watch the whole thing. I can't remember ever leaving. I think I left early once when we were 3-0 down or something because I had the Ben and he was whinging or something like that. But that's about the only time.
We were both at that game.
Oh, aye, the Sheffield Wednesday, aye. I forgot about that.
Chef went away. I've seen you on the way. I was already in the car and you were walking past me. You had the same idea as me. Look, I've done it for away games when we've been getting humped away from home.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, let's just go. It's like a 5-hour drive or whatever. Let's just go.
But 2-1 at home.
It's
against Leeds in a big game on a Friday night. And look, there's bound to be a lot of people. And look, people, you don't have to send a message to say, oh, but I've got to get back for such and such, and I've got to do this. Look, people have got lives and they've got things to get back for. And some people just want to get home early and have a cup of tea or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely fine. But, like I said, I don't get it because I've never done it. But I'm not going to knock anyone who kind of just wants to get home early and or got things to get home for. I mean, people have got lives. So, each their own. It's not for me, but I'm not going to really knock anybody because everyone's got different things going on.
Yeah, I think the players probably would prefer if the fans stayed. Like I think I mentioned the other week, was the Borough game, wasn't it? Where it was probably the most full I can remember the stadium being after a game in a long time. Because people stayed even past full time, and it was great.
But I think kick-off times has something to do with it.
Possibly.
And this was an 8 o'clock kick-off, which was as late as you can get. And maybe that had something to do with it. People getting back, buses, maybe. There's a lot of chuck in the mix. Like, you'll find that the 12 o'clock kick-offs are probably, midday kick-offs are those where people, they've got plenty of time in the day, so they don't mind staying till the end. I don't know. There's lots of things to throw into the mix with it.
Yeah. Jay says, average points per game needed to win the league the last 5 seasons is 2.02. We are currently on 2.11. Reckon we can do it? I do reckon we can do it, but I'm not going to be using stats to back up me theory on why we'll do it. I get it, but I'm more I'm more impressed by the character of the players, the way that they're winning games, the way we look like a well-coached team, the fact that we've got a lot of players still to come back from injuries that we haven't even seen yet, players we've signed who are just not ready yet. That is what gives me some feeling that we could do it. And I said on the preview that this would be a big test for us. If we can come through it, I'll start believing. And we came through it. Yes, we only got a point, but I think if you're competitive against teams like Leeds, it shows where you're at. And they weren't the better team. We looked like, I thought we were two evenly matched sides on the day. And obviously it's very, very early to say. We're 10 games in, not even that. It's far too early to say. But I'm thinking about what I've seen so far, and I don't see any signs that there's going to be a massive drop off. I've seen Sunderland teams in the past when we were in League One, we'd go through runs where we'd win games but we weren't playing well, and you were like, right, once this drops off, it's going to be hard to recover from it. And that's why we never if you look across the 4 years in League One, we finished outside the top 2 every time. So it's like I feel like I've got a good gauge of when a Sunderland team is ready to do something. And I think the only thing standing in the way of us this season is possibly the fact teams like Leeds are in there and they've got better quality, and maybe over the course of the season they'll win more games than us. Like Leeds got done by that last year, didn't they? They finished third, and it was only because really Ipswich and Leicester had accrued so many points that Leeds didn't go up automatically. And that's I think that would be where I see it not happening. I do actually see us being right up there. Where, I don't know. But I am starting to believe.
Yeah, look, I'm a bit worried about expectation at the minute because, look, I think if you asked all of us before the opening day of the season, new manager, give them a bit of time. We had a few new players. People weren't really that excited with the signings we'd made, to be honest. I mean, I kind of was. We talked about it. I kind of was because I didn't know much about them. But I'm a bit like that, and we're a bit like that when we talk about these new signings. But I think most people were like, "Oh, where's that striker?" And you know, and there was a lot of that talk, and people were saying, "Oh, we'll do well if we reach the playoffs." And then, yeah, brilliant. First 9 games, won 6, drawn 1, lost 2. We're kind of top of the league after 8-9 games. Brilliant, but we've got to remember what we expected of this team and not kind of to lose too much of that, and not kind of say, "Oh, well, you know, now we should win the league because we got into this position after 9 games." I don't think it works like that. I mean, you look at the Championship. There's a lot of good sides up there. Leeds showed how good they are. That was a battle. And even midweek against Derby, newly promoted side, that we had a graft to get those 3 points. We had to really dig in and kind of show what we were made of to get 3 points against a newly promoted side at home. And you know, it's tough. And we've got, you know, there's Burnley up there, Sheffield United, West Brom, and I'm in my head, I'm still where I was at the start of the season. My expectation is, I was hoping for a top 6 finish at the end of the season, and that's where I still am. I've not got, you know, I'm excited that there's now potential that we could fight for the top 2, and that will be great. But at the same time, we've got to say, you can't, I don't think you can then kind of flip it and say we expected top 6, but now after 9 games we expect the title. I hope we don't go down that route because I don't think it's overly fair to kind of raise expectations that much. So I'm still looking at top 6. We can do it. We've the talents in there, and if we keep getting results when we're not playing as well as we know we can do, then that's a sign we're going to do well, obviously. But yeah, I'm just enjoying it. I'm just loving it. I'm just loving this team. The celebrations after that second goal. I mean, the players jumping into the crowd, absolutely loving it, getting involved. You're talking about players in boxes behind all of the fans getting involved. I'm just loving the way the club is at the minute. I love the way we run in terms of like getting young players in and getting this conveyor belt of players going out for big money and then bringing a young one in who excites you. I'm just really enjoying it, and you know, being top of the league at the minute is just a bonus.
Yeah, I'm going to leave these questions, and we'll come back during the week. We'll do a bit more of a Q&A style review to date type pod. I think me, you, and Martin will do that because there's loads and they all deserve to be answered, I guess, and I don't want to miss them out. So, and we've banged on for long enough.
We always do.
I know. Cheers, mate. Thanks very much. Get prepped for that, eh? I'll let you read all the questions and you can get your answers ready and all that.
I'm not reading any. I want it to be a surprise.
Yeah, well, like I say, we'll be back. We don't know when. There is an international break, so there's no game next week. So gives us a chance to take a few days, reflect, get one of these recorded. We'll try and get all 3 of us on for that one. So keep your ears and eyes peeled and refresh your feeds vigorously till a new pod appears. That's what I usually do. Cheers, mate. Thanks very much. Cheers to the listeners. Let's see, we'll be back. We'll catch you in a few days. See you then.